Morning.
Hi, today is Monday, August 10th, and we're going to be reading Esther 6, 7, 8.
6, 7, and 8. All right. Are you ready, Gabriel?
Yes,
You are? Are you ready, Nathaniel?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
You're ready? How about you, Joshua? You're ready?
Tired.
How about you, Catherine?
She
She's asleep.
doesn't.
All right. The king honors Mordecai. Oh, so we were already on the gallows. So he had the gallows constructed. Remember, that's where we left off.
During the night, the king could not sleep, so he ordered that the book of memorable acts, the Chronicles, be brought, and that they were read before the king. It was found written that Mordecai had informed on Bigthana and Teresh, the two eunuchs of the king serving as the keepers of the door, who had sought to assault King Ahasuerus. So the king said, "What honor or dignity has been found for Mordecai as a result of this?" Then the king's servant attending him said, "Nothing has been done for him." So the king said, "Who is out in the courtyard?" Now Haman had just then entered from across the palace courtyard in order to speak to the king about hanging Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. The king's attendant said to him, "Haman is waiting in the court." So the king said, "Let him enter." And Haman entered. Now the king said to him, "What should be done for the man whom the king desires to honor?" Haman thought in his heart, "Who more than me would the king desire to honor?" So Haman answered the king, "For the man whom the king delights to honor, let royal apparel be brought that the king himself has worn, and a horse on which the king has ridden, which has a royal insignia on its head. Let the apparel and horse for this man be handled by one of the king's noble officials, in order to dress the man whom the king delights to honor, as well as to lead him on horseback throughout the city. Finally, let him proclaim before him, like this it shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor." Then the king said to Haman, "Quickly, take the apparel and the horse you have said, and do so for Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate. Of everything you have spoken, do not fall short of any of it." So Haman took the apparel and the horse, arrayed Mordecai, and led him on horseback throughout the city, and proclaimed before him, "Like this it shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor." As Mordecai returned again to the king's gate, Haman hurried to his house, mourning with his head covered. Haman recounted to his wife Zeresh and to all his friends everything that had happened to him. Then his wise friends and his wife Zeresh said to him, "If Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is of Jewish lineage, then you will not be victorious over him. Rather, you will surely fall before him." While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and rushed Haman to the banquet that Esther had prepared. Haman executed. Chapter 7. So the king and Haman entered to feast and drink with Queen Esther. The king repeated to Esther what he had said on the previous day while drinking wine. "For why are you asking, Queen Esther? It shall be granted."
For what are you?
"For what are you asking, Queen Esther? It shall be granted to you. Now what is your request? Even if it is half the kingdom, it will be done." Queen Esther replied, "If I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it please the king at my petition, let my life be given me and my people at my request. For we have been sold, and I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to be annihilated. If only we had been sold as male and female slaves, I could have kept quiet, for that distress would not be sufficient to trouble the king." Then King Ahasuerus answered and demanded of Queen Esther, "Who is he, and where is he who should dare presume in his heart to do so?" Esther said, "The wicked Haman is the adversary and enemy." Then Haman was seized with terror before the king and the queen. And the king arose from the banquet of wine in his wrath, and went into the palace garden. But Haman remained to plead for his life for Queen Esther, for he saw that harm was determined against him by the king. Now the king returned from the palace garden back to the hall of the banquet as Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was. Then the king said, "Will he also violate the queen while I am in the room?" As the shout erupted from the king's mouth, they covered the face of Haman. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs in the king's presence, said, "The gallows, 50 cubits high, which Haman had constructed for Mordecai, who had spoken good on behalf of the king, stands at the house of Haman." Then the king said, "Hang him on it." So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the king's wrath was pacified. Chapter 8. Esther saves the Jews. On that day, King Ahasuerus gave Queen Esther the house of Haman, the enemy of the Jews. Mordecai came before the king because Esther disclosed who he was to her. The king took off his signet ring, which he had taken away from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. Then Esther spoke again to the king and fell down at his feet and begged him with tears to avert the evil of Haman the Agagite and the scheme that he had devised against the Jews. When the king held out the golden scepter to Esther, she arose and stood before the king and said, "If it pleases the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the idea seems right before the king, and I have his approval, then let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews in all the king's provinces. For how am I able to watch the evil that will unfold against my people? How can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred?" Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther and to Mordecai the Jew, "I see I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they have hanged him on the gallows because he threatened violence against the Jews. Now as it suits you, write in the king's name on behalf of the Jews and seal it with the king's signet ring, because a document written in the king's name and sealed with the king's signet ring cannot be repealed." The king's scribes were summoned at that time in the 3rd month, which is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day, and everything was written according to all that Mordecai commanded. To all the Jews, to the satraps, the governors, and the princes of the province from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces to provide to every province in its own script, to every people in their own language, and to the Jews in their script and language. He wrote in the name of King Ahasuerus, sealed it with the king's signet ring, sent letters by couriers on horseback, riding steeds bred from mares from the royal stables. What the king granted to the Jews in each and every city was a right to assemble and to defend their lives by annihilating, slaying, and destroying any army of any people or any province that would assault them, the little children and women included, and to plunder their possessions. This would happen on one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar. A copy of the edict being issued as law in each and every province was published to all people, so the Jews could be ready for this day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the couriers riding on royal steeds went out with haste and urgency by the king's edict. The decree was given at the citadel of Susa. Mordecai went out with the king's presents in the royal apparel of blue and white, with a large crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. The city of Susa erupted with shouts of rejoicing. To the Jews belonged light, gladness, joy, and honor in each and every province, as well as in each and every city, wherever the king's correct and his decree reached. The Jews had joy and gladness, a feast, and a holiday. Furthermore, many of the people of the land professed to be Jews because the dread of the Jews fell on them.
Wow. All right. That is Esther 6, 7, and 8.
Have a great day. Please subscribe. Hope you like this video. Please
And what would you say for the ones who have subscribed?
Hi.
Hi.
Bye.
Thank
If
you.
subscribe,
Thank you for
Tell
subscribing.
your friends.
Hey, tell your friends. Yeah, that's very good.
Josh is out.
And yes, Josh is out. All right.